My name is Roy Hulan. I am running for Kentucky House. I need your support and please share to get the word out. As always, I'm running to stop the ticking time bomb and put our country on a road to a bright new day instead of all things ending. I apologize for this one. COVID-19 2020. Title, Give Credit Where Credit is Due. You know, Trump loves to put his name on everything. Don't you believe in giving credit where credit is due? Let me suggest a new item to put the Trump name on. Should we call all the deaths that are occurring today the Trump death toll? Looking at what Trump has done and is doing, his past and current actions, like his unilateral travel bans that force thousands, like 40,000 of our fellow Americans back to the US in less than a week, which packed folks into crowded airplanes where the atmosphere inside was recycled for hours. We're talking about a virus who is more infectious than measles, making for a perfect place for a patient zero to infect the vast majority. Then these folks came into our international airports where they stood in line for 7 to 8 hours. Again, in another perfect place for COVID-19 to spread, not only to the fellow travelers, but to local population working there. There is a reason why New York became the epicenter. Then these infected travelers took other domestic flights to all corners of the US, infecting those in those planes and those local populations in those domestic airports. We see the vast majority of new infections during this time in cities with airports. I wonder why. Trump was thinking that the U.S. would be immune to infection because the U.S. was across the Pacific Ocean from the outbreak in China and selling the U.S. stockpile of PPE to China during January and February, even strong-arming 3M to sell China their stockpile of N95 masks. Here is a link to an article on this. Remember to support this venue. To his draining the swamp programs that forced out long-time federal employees that knew what they were doing with political hacks and pets that did not. There is no greater example of what happens when you do this than what happened with the CDC and FDA and testing. Even though there were clear indications in multiple cities and states that we had COVID-19 outbreaks in March, the CDC only tested 472 people for both the months of February and March. As Trump claimed over and over, the U.S. had plenty of test kits, and if you wanted to get tested, you could. Add in that Trump was constantly giving out wrong information, like this one, much was even more deadly. Here's a post by John Oliver to further explain what happened. The word scary comes to mind. You can subscribe to his podcasts, both through YouTube and Facebook.com. Now, Trump is pushing for states to reopen before we are even ready to. And the Wall Street Journal is reporting Homeland Security has ordered over 100,000 body bags. You need to read this article. The article is eye-opening. Here's the link to the Wall Street Journal article. If you like what you read at the Wall Street Journal, remember to subscribe. When Trump and McConnell won't send financial aid to state and local governments, that is to force, in fact, the state and local governments to open up. Next year's budgets are coming due in June and July, so Trump and McConnell are doing a full court press on the states and local governments to open up. Ready or not, open up or shut down is what the McConnell Trump team is pushing. Let's be honest, Trump is using folks who listen to him. I hear what he said weeks ago on the Democratic governors, over controlling folks and planning to take away their Second Amendment rights, which is a dog whistle, all to undermine stay safe, stay at home efforts. Here's a link to an article by the Courier Journal on May 2nd, 2020. Protests by 1,000 folks. Hardly overwhelming, but eye-opening. I recommend you read it and subscribe online to our journal. Understand, we're playing a numbers game here. We are using stay at home to limit infections by limiting the number of folks which are out to be infected. Change the numbers, change the infection rate. Lower the numbers of folks staying at home and get rid of any group immunity effect. More infections and more death. Going forward, about a month ago, in one of Trump's daily briefs, Trump mused that the cure was worse than the sickness. When scientists answered back, this would mean millions of US deaths, Trump backed down. Actions speak louder than words, folks. I believe Trump has made up his mind and will push going forward to open up the US economy, hell or high water, believing that in so doing, he will get the economy going once again. Trump believes there is only a supply side downturn going on, and pushing the economy open will solve this. On the other hand, having over 22 years of retail experience and looking at demographics, see both a supply side but also a demand side downturn going on and going forward. With both a supply side and a demand side downturn going on, the result of pushing the economy open is the opposite of Trump's expectation. With both a supply side and a demand side downturn, the result means taking longer, not shorter, to recover our economy due to sickness headwinds. Trump is doing the same as Hoover did by not intervening in the economy at a crucial point and letting things get out of hand. Trump is so sure of himself, as with his pandemic making critical mistakes, he is making mistakes today on our economy. Did Trump tell folks not to wear a mask and then tell them to? Then we see anti-mask conservative movement soon after, all about forcing Trump supporters to wear a mask. You know Trump is a wussy. I have been wearing a mask since March, and I wear a mask for over 8 hours and 5 to 6 days a week. Yes, the mask is hot. Yes, the mask is uncomfortable. And after washing in bunches, because you can't buy them, they get real itchy. But I ain't no wuss like Trump. I love my wife. I don't want to carry COVID-19 back home. I have early on created a video to show folks how to make a mask. No donation requested there. Here's a link to this post, my post. Do you realize that Trump and his entourage have been tested a bunch and I still haven't been tested once? Because testing ain't what Trump has claimed to be plentiful. Have you not heard Trump complaining about him wearing a mask? I can't talk. I don't look good. Trump is a wimp, and he wants his followers to be so too. Here's an article on the next item I need to talk about: the new magic MAGA mask that will be given out to you folks for a donation. Or do you know that Trump is also making masks for his rallies? Red magic MAGA ones to sell there. I bet Trump will change his tune then. Trump thinks you are all so stupid. And quit proving him right. You are better than Trump. We need a better leader than Trump. But again, wearing masks, putting on a transmission barrier on, a virus wall on, is to lower the number of folks getting infected or folks transmitting the virus. Again, the real power of a mask to stop COVID-19 is when we as a group all wear them. Folks not wearing a mask opens up this transmission gateway and allows the spread to happen. More infections, more death going forward. Taking longer, not shorter, to fully open up our economy due to increased infection headwinds. The only two things that we have today to stop the spread of COVID-19, Trump has made statements against. The only two things that will work and have worked, the tools in our toolbox so we can fully open up our economy, Trump undermines. Understand, if we don't take care of the front line, like our states, like Kentucky, which is looking at a $500 million revenue shortfall, or our cities like Winchester is facing a $50,000 shortfall in revenue. We will start a demand side recession if we don't take care of the states and local governments. For those who have studied Economics 101, you will remember C plus I plus G equals GDP. That is consumption plus investment plus government is equal to our output. What is G? Government spending. We will start a demand-side recession if we don't take care of those small businesses and rental owners also, which will then affect our local banks. What is I? Business investment, business spending. If we have transmissions of COVID, 25% open is a barely breathing economy. Prolonged running of businesses at this level will even be more damaging to businesses because of lifting of their protections and our local economy then being shut down once again and again due to increased infections. A stop, start. Understand, folks who have the resources, the money, are older Americans, the baby boomers. They are the most affected by COVID-19 virus. So they are the ones who are most likely not to participate in the new economy. I have not seen many of my longtime customers. Recently, I was told the reason why. One of my longtime customers' friends came in. He told me that because of his friend having a heart surgery, his wife will not let him out, and his friend is not planning on being back either. This is C, consumer spending. All aspects of demand, consumer spending, business spending, and government spending, local and state, are part of our GDP and are going to be affected negatively. Remember that we are looking at a balanced equation when we are looking at supply is equal to demand, and that all businesses are affected by cash flows. And we see cash flows going down as spending by all these groups go down. Barely breathing local businesses are not going to generate any employment to rehire folks out of unemployment. Understand, Donald Trump is making a bet that only blue states run by Democratic governors, are going to have both a supply and demand side downturn. the double whammy. That the economies of red states will come roaring back because this is just a supply side recession. I have news for Donald Trump. The double whammy is going to happen in every state because the folks who have the money, the baby boomers, will become more and more afraid to leave their homes. Even if the governors hide the death toll, the Trump death toll information, the obits and the word of mouth will talk. Yards not being mowed will talk. Understand, we all have neighbors. Because the owner is no longer around, for sale signs in front yards of unkept homes will tell. Customers no longer coming will tell. Older workers gone will tell. Fear of dying from will become more and more real. Spoken not by one's presence, but by one's absence. Donald Trump's payroll tax cut plan will only help folks like me who are already working and help Trump's base, but miss those who are now unemployed and underemployed altogether. Trump's payroll tax cut plan is like giving a bandage for your arm while gushing blood from your leg. Small businesses which have not been helped by the rig too big small business loan program and the unemployed are the ones who had to take advantage of all the moratoriums during the Trump forced shutdown. But as the stay-at-home orders are repealed, these folks will find themselves more heavily in debt and unable to pay back these huge amounts of debt because they're unemployed. Now due back because of the barely breathing business environment. They have missed payments to eat and pay insurance so that they could go to the hospital if they got sick. Many are young. I feel by fall we will start to see the Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump Hoover towns if both McConnell and Trump get their way. I fear that we will soon see in the fall a spike in business mortgage foreclosures. We're already seeing that tip according to the Wall Street Journal. Understand, rental property owners have business mortgages and do not have the same safeguards as your personal home does. The back debt of utilities, rent, mortgages, credit cards, and payday loans will ripple through our fragile startup economies and will lead to a combined supply side and demand side recession that is a depression like the Great Depression. When fighting a 5-alarm fire, you do not turn off the water until the fire is completely out. I cannot help that McConnell went along with Trump's deficit spending during good times, which is imprudent and wasteful. But I do know that if we don't take care of the least of our brothers today, the state and local governments, the small businesses that were discriminated against by the Trump administration, the rental owners and their renters, the unemployed and underemployed, we will find ourselves in a full-blown depression. The new McConnell and Trump Hoover towns will be a perfect breeding ground for COVID-19 to spread. This will kill and destroy our youth and our local economies. I do write this to put a spotlight on McConnell and Trump to continue to work bipartisan for all our sakes and not to revert to protecting their corporate Wall Street and payday daddies. We cannot, in fairness, call COVID-19 the Trump virus. The virus came to the US from China and Europe, but 98% of our deaths in the US, and I'm being very, very nice here, is directly due to Trump's action and continue to be so in the future. So, does Trump deserve to have his name put on our US death toll? Should we call the US death toll the Trump death toll? For more reasons, you can also see other things. You all stay safe and cover up. And have a good and blessed day, folks. Bye.